Valley Club, one of the biggest chases in Marvel Strike Force is always going to be the latest Dark Dimension character, and no matter where you're in the game, you're working towards the next big mythic character from Dark Dimension. So whether you're going after Kestrel or Odin, the characters are going to be relatively similar, and we're going to reveal that in this video. And if you want to see who are the top picks for the characters to build for Dark Dimension, then you need to do Valley Club. Find that like button and let's go smash it. And welcome back to the ValleyFlyin channel. I am ValleyFlyin, and I hope you're having an excellent day. In this video, we're going to reveal the top picks for Dark Dimension. Whether you're going for Dark Dimension 1, Dark Dimension 8, or anywhere in between, a lot of the characters they're going to build are very similar. So we're going to talk about the top picks for each of these Dark Dimension. And if you get some value from this video, leave it a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell if you want even more Marvel Strike Force content. We got at least 5 Marvel Strike Force videos every single week on this channel. But before we get into actual picks for each section of Dark Dimension, I do want to talk about some justification for building these characters. There's 3 main reasons to build up a character for Dark Dimension, and the first is just to enter Dark Dimension. Now, a lot of times you're building up cheap characters because you don't have the gear. There's some certain pieces of gear that you need, or you haven't hoarded enough, and you're just bringing in cheap characters. One example of this is Ravager Stitcher. Very cheap character, doesn't take a lot of mini unique pieces to get him up to that next gear tier, but it doesn't give you a lot of value in Dark Dimension, doesn't give you a lot of value outside Dark Dimension. So one way to build up characters is just to enter Dark Dimension as quickly as possible based on the gear that you have. Another rationale for bringing up characters to Dark Dimension is characters that are actually good in Dark Dimension. So these aren't cheap characters. You may not have a lot of value for these characters after you're done with Dark Dimension, but in Dark Dimension, these characters are going to be very good. Example of this is Val. Bifrost is kind of past its time right now. They're not really needed for anything right now, but Val still very good in Dark Dimension. And the third rationale for building up for Dark Dimension is not building the cheap characters, not building for characters that are going to be good in Dark Dimension, but building characters that are going to be useful afterwards. Example of this is Endgame Thanos. As of me recording this, Endgame Thanos is in the arena meta, so it's going to give you value in arena and is actually still pretty good in Dark Dimension. So regardless of cost, regardless of the value in Dark Dimension, you're building up certain characters because they're going to give you value in other game modes like arena, raids, war, crucible, battle world, etc. So those are the 3 justifications for characters. Let's go to the Dark Dimension planner on the MarvelStrikeForce.com website. We'll start with Dark Dimension 8, the most recent Dark Dimension, and work our way back from there. So with Dark Dimension 8, you have the first section, non-legendary city hero. I think the best characters for this is going to be the Spider Society. They are very good in Dark Dimension, and you can pretty much auto Dark Dimension 8 with them, Dark Dimension 7 with them, and I'm assuming all previous Dark Dimensions. So Spider Society is a very good team. Now, there are some other characters in the city section that you may want to build up. We have Blade, we have Oath, we have Moon Knight. All characters part of that Night Stalkers team, very valuable in the raids right now. However, I think that the Spider Society, the ability to auto, and just the synergy that they have is going to be the best choices for non-legendary city, or if you're going for a previous Dark Dimension, a city section. Next is the non-legendary city villains, and there's not many choices as of me recording this right now. 2 pretty much ways to go. You could go with the Sinister / Superior 6, or as we go down here, we have some Hive Mind characters, but because the Hive Mind is probably going to replace once the next version of the Orcus raids comes out, wouldn't keep investing in the Hive Mind team. So I would go with the Superior / Sinister 6. They're still going to be very good in war, still very good in Cosmic Crucible. That's going to be their value after. And they're actually pretty much the only teams that are going to be good in the city villain section for Dark Dimension 8. Moving on to the non-legendary global hero, we have a few options here. I think if I was to do this going forward, I would build up my Illuminati and build up my Uncanny Avengers in Jean Grey and Hercules. Now, there's a lot of other options for this, and if you're looking for characters that are very good, we could go back to some characters like the Extreme X-Men, which I took into this Dark Dimension 8, and they were very good. Now, the only problem with going for the Extreme X-Men is that, like the Hive Mind team, once the next version of the Orcus raids comes out, they're probably going to be replaced. So they will give you value in this Dark Dimension 8, and they aren't that expensive either. But as far as their use after Dark Dimension 8, right now you are going to use them in the raids, but a couple months down the road, I don't see them in the next version of the raids. So you may want to stop investing in the Extreme X-Men, but Forge, Sunspot, Nightcrawler, and Gambit along with Hank Pym work very well for me with this, but I would go with the Illuminati and the Uncanny Avengers. Now, because the Uncanny Avengers are more recent characters, you may not have them unlocked. You may want to go back to a team like the Extreme X-Men, but I think if you have these characters available, put the gear on them and bring them into Dark Dimension 8. But moving on to the non-legendary global villain, well, there's not that many options. If you're in Dark Dimension 8, I think you bring up Apocalypse. I think that's a no-brainer for you. And then we have the Orcus team, which I brought up. Now, I did not bring Omega Sentinel at the time of this because I did not have her built up, but Lady Deathstrike, Scientist Supreme, Nimrod, and Sentinel. As far as your other options in the global villains, you do have the Cabal, you do have a character like Daken, you have a character like Ares if you're really into war, and the new character, the Omega Red Phoenix Force. So those are some options there. But as far as mix of characters that are going to be good in Dark Dimension, this pretty much walks over the global villain section. And characters are going to be useful outside of Dark Dimension. Apocalypse is always going to be useful for a long time. Orcus is valuable in the Orcus race. I think this is a good mix for Dark Dimension of value in Dark Dimension and value after Dark Dimension as well. And as far as a legendary or a cosmic, I think Val is a great pick if you just want to get through Dark Dimension. She has a lot of Dark Dimension value. However, if you're just going for like value after Dark Dimension, I think you bring in a character like Old Man Logan, one of the best legendary characters in the game. In my opinion, the best non-mythic character in the game right now in Old Man Logan. So you build them up for whatever you can. Endgame Thanos, very, very good. If you're in Dark Dimension 8, you've probably already beaten Dark Dimension 7. So you're bringing in a character like Mephisto. Super Skrull is also very, very good. Now, if you don't want to bring in Val, you can continue to go with other cosmic characters like Gore, like Gladiator. I think those would be my two other top picks. You have other characters like Doctor Strange, part of that Astral team. If you're really into Battle World, you could get some use for that character afterwards. But we also have some very good characters that came out since I was in that legendary section. Shadow King, new legendary character, or the most recent legendary character. Very, very good character in Crucible, War, and whenever Battle World comes back, he will be very good in Battle World. Kahori is a great character, and Miss Marvel Classic pairs very well with Kahori. So you got some options for this section, but this would still be my picks. Maybe not Val, but for the rest of these characters, that's who I'd bring in. Let's move back to Dark Dimension 7 because some of the requirements are a little different. And this is where you're going to unlock Mephisto. Now, for this non-legendary and non-mythic city, I still would go with the Spider Society. But for this non-legendary, non-mythic global section, you can either go with the heroes that we use from Dark Dimension 8 or the villains that we use from Dark Dimension 8. I think this is a team, if you're more looking forward, you're going with the Uncanny Avengers. And if you're like myself and like Cosmic Crucible, you're going to build up the Illuminati. However, you still have the Orcus options for that global section. You still have other characters like Ares. You could lean into Cabal if you're really into Cosmic Crucible as well. We have the new version of Omega Red in the global section as well, and some of the members of the Astral team as well. You have a few different options what you could do with this non-mythic global section, but this is what I would do if I was entering Dark Dimension 7 again. The non-legendary, non-mythic cosmic section, well, the three best cosmic characters, in my opinion, are the three members of the Annihilators: Endgame Thanos, Gore the God Butcher, and Gladiator. I think those are top picks in the cosmic section right now. Kang, I like Kang. I use Kang a lot in Cosmic Crucible. Is going to be very good in Dark Dimension as well. However, you might not be getting as much use after Dark Dimension as I do with Kang, so you might want to replace him. Kahori, also very, very good character, great in Cosmic Crucible, great in War. But as far as some other options, if you don't have these characters or don't really want to lean into them, you can go back and do Val. She is very, very good in Dark Dimension. However, like I said, not going to be giving you a lot of use after Dark Dimension. Doctor Strange is part of that Astral team, and you can lean into that if you're really looking to dominate Battle World. We have a character like Void Knight that is a pretty good character. However, like the rest of the Hive Mind, is probably going to be replaced once the next Orcus raid comes around. And if you're really into War, you can continue to lead into Kahori and the rest of the Absolute A-Force. I think I would go, if I was really leaning into that team, probably would hold off on Medusa, but probably go with Kahori and Miss Marvel Classic for that. Let me know your thoughts on this cosmic section. You do have options, but this is what I would lean into. Now, as far as the legendary section, like I said, Old Man Logan, Shadow King, they're the two most recent legendary characters. So, in my opinion, they're going to be the best legendary characters in the game right now. Phoenix did just get a rework, so she has those updated stats, and for that, I would bring into that legendary section. Green Goblin Classic, still use him in Cosmic Crucible, still very, very good in War. However, does not have as much value as he did at the time because I was using him in Arena at the time as well. Same thing with Black Cat. As far as your other options for the legendary section, some characters that you might want to take up is Doc Ock if you're leaning into that Superior / Sinister 6. You also have some other options like Rogue. Rogue is a character that I'm using on defense with the Extreme X-Men. Invisible Woman did just get a rework as part of that Mighty Avengers as well. And as far as that Mythic section, well, if you are going for Dark Dimension 7, you don't have Odin, you don't have Apocalypse, or you don't have Mephisto, so I would bring in a character like Apocalypse, another one of the Annihilators. Ultimus is probably the 4th best Annihilator on the team. Silver Surfer doesn't have much use, but Ultimus does have some plug-and-play use. Super Skrull is one of the best characters before Dark Dimension 7. Dormammu, I would lean in Kestrel as well. Your other options, not liking them too much. Of course, Odin and Mephisto, you wouldn't have unlocked at this point. Maybe for your second run, you could build up that Mephisto. But as far as Ultimus and Doom, I think these characters for the Mythic section are going to be no-brainers. So that's who I would pick. Let me know if you have some divergent opinions from what I have for the Mythic section. As we move back to Dark Dimension 6 and just looking at the global Cosmic City, non-Horseman Legendary and Legendary or Apocalypse. So for the global team, you got a couple options at this point. I would go for the Orcus and Apocalypse. Use the villain team that we did for Dark Dimension 8. And if you want to use that hero team, you could do that as well. But I would go for this villain section because you do have Apocalypse and you are going to use this Orcus team in the raids. And coming up for Dark Dimension 8, they're going to be very good as well. The Cosmic section and continue to build up these Annihilators. And as far as your other options for Cosmic, Void Knight is an option, Kang is an option, but as far as the other characters that we want to build up for Cosmic, well, the Val, great for Dark Dimension, like I said, but not going to give you a lot of use after that. Doctor Strange and Kahori are also very valuable characters that we mentioned for previous Dark Dimensions, but Ultimus is a character that you might want to build up for that Mythic section for that next Dark Dimension, so you might want to just build him up here if you're getting enough value from him outside of Dark Dimension. Moving back up and looking at the city section, I think we still go with Spider Society for that city section. They're going to be value in Dark Dimension 7 and 8, so I think we build them up for 6 and previously at this point. And our non-Horseman legendary characters, well, I think we just go with the more recent characters. Old Man Logan, Shadow King, 2 top characters right there. Green Goblin Classic and Black Cat are very good as well. And for the final legendary character, because I'm using the Superior 6 so often, when I get Doc Ock to pair him with the rest of the Superior 6, other options if you don't have some of these legendary characters, I think you can lean into Phoenix because she did just get that stat upgrade, and you're probably going to build her for one of the future Dark Dimensions as well. Invisible Woman, we mentioned her previously as just getting a rework with that Mighty Avengers. But if we're going for Legendary or Apocalypse, I think we go with the same characters that we do. We're going to have to build up Doc Ock anyway, and we're building up Apocalypse anyway, so we just build up these characters for that Legendary section. And going all the way back to Dark Dimension 5 and everything previous to this, well, we just have 4 sections for this city. Again, Spider Society, Global. You could either go into that Hero Global team or that Villain Global team. I went with a hero in this example, but of course you can use Orcus and round it out a global squad for the villain section coming up sometime in Dark Dimension 8, whenever you get there. Cosmic, Annihilators, Kahori, Kang is who I chose here, but of course we do have some other options as we mentioned previously, like Val, Void Knight, Doctor Strange. We have Ultimus as options as well, just depending how you want to build up at this point. And Legendary, just build up the more recent characters. Old Man Logan, Shadow King, I think are no-brainers. Green Goblin Classic, Black Cat are very good. You can go Dark Phoenix, you can go Doc Ock. Depending how you want to build, what characters you're using, you got a lot of great options here, but this is probably who I would build at this point for Legendary. So those are my picks for the top Dark Dimension characters, everything Dark Dimension 8 and previous. We have a lot of overlapping characters. We have some other options if you don't have some of these characters unlocked. And I hope you got some value from this video. If you did, leave the video a like. And if you want to see what are the best tombs to farm right now, check out the video up there, and I'll see you guys next time. Good luck in Dark Dimension. Good luck with Odin, Mephisto, and everyone else. Hulk fist bump, ValleyFlyin out.